The crypto market finally feels like it's back with a bit of action. And what I mean with that is that almost every single crypto right now is pumping. And even though the numbers are not that great, it's significantly better than we've seen over the last few days, with Bitcoin going back above 87,000, reaching a level of 87.3K. XRP slowly but surely climbing back up, reaching a value of about $2.47 or so. And Ethereum, do we really even need to cover it? It ain't doing much. Solana, however, on the opposite side, also recovered quite nicely, back to 140, down from the lower 125, or actually 124. Now, I'd say that out of most coins, XRP still is one of the most interesting ones. You might ask me why that is. Well, because when you start to take a look at it, it's one of those coins which I mentioned a while back that will most likely slowly but surely continue to gain. And what I mean with that is, ever since they won this lawsuit, or since the SEC backed out, my personal expectation was that slowly but surely, as Bitcoin recovers, and Bitcoin right now is above 87,000, on the course back towards the top, that XRP will also severely outperform. Now, when taking a look at our earlier trades, yes, they're not fully in a crazy amount of profit just quite yet. The XP trade is still $20,000 down, Virtuals is down significantly, and I'm not even sure when this one will recover, but I've got patience, I'm not in a hurry. But more importantly is the Bitcoin position, mostly from the perspective that we talked about it earlier, right? If we just DCA, just keep buying lower, generally speaking, we cannot really lose. And there was a good example a while back where we said, if you just keep buying Bitcoin every single day, there's one good example of a guy that did that over a few year span and was able to turn his $80,000 into $1 million. But even with these positions here, for example, over on Blowfin, and by the way, if you've not signed up, this is the platform I usually use to trade on. A link will be down below. But yeah, basically, if you just, theoretically speaking, keep on buying, it's quite hard to lose and to back that up. Really, 𝗂𝗂𝗪, Strategy is the company nowadays, MicroStrategy. The main part of the company, what they mainly do is just buy the freaking Bitcoin dip. Just buy more and more and more. That's generally speaking just what they do. And I think over a prolonged period of time, this is how they'll end up winning. And I'm not talking about winning, for the company making money. No, I'm talking about winning the freaking world. Why am I saying that? Well, because if we now are seeing the freaking US start a Bitcoin reserve type of war where they're trying to accumulate as many coins as possible. And we're seeing senators and others think a similar manner of, hey, we need to buy more and more coins, we need to hoard these because otherwise they can be worth a ton. Then from that perspective, yeah, the one company that right now is buying most amount of Bitcoin, they will come out victorious, right? Because they'll be bidding against the US government, or rather the opposite way, the US government will be bidding against their Bitcoin. Now, on an opposite angle, I often look back at some of the top contenders that are US-based coins that also have got themselves, from different perspectives, from different angles, good risk rewards or good reasons to buy. And one of the other ones we talk about a lot is XRP. But really, when you look back, our earlier strategy a few months ago was just always buy XRP when it came to $2, right? Remember that? Well, we said every single time it dips below certain levels, one of them being $2 and one of them being $1.80, you just buy the freaking living crap out of it. And to some extent, we said earlier, hey, be a bit more cautious because Bitcoin is looking weak. We're worried of another break. You know that has now changed for me, where right now I'm a lot more certain that XRP will continue on a pretty crazy run, mostly because the SEC withdrew their lawsuit. So there's really a lot less downwards pressure for XRP, and Bitcoin, I would say, has quite stabilized, or rather, yes, there's still the probability, of course, of Bitcoin slashing hard. A minus 10K candle would obviously hurt our alts, but XRP over the last few weeks has solidified its position where, again, versus Bitcoin, most alts have been bleeding. XRP has done exceedingly well, together with ADA, a couple of others, but generally speaking, XRP has been one of the best holds for this while. And even though the pump on the lawsuit day was not insane, I also think partially that was because Bitcoin had such a negative backline there. There was such negative thoughts basically around Bitcoin that right now perhaps that might settle around or change around. Where again, recently we saw about a $1.90 per XRP. Just look back at it for fun here for a little second. Let's go to the daily chart here. If you had just religiously bought XRP every single time it came to $2 just for fun, we're going to quickly look back at it, right? I talked about it many times, but I'll quickly just do it again for fun. We would have had, let's quickly take a look at it, we would have had one chance right here let's just say 2 chances right here, 2 days. And the profit instantly would have been pretty insane. Let's just quickly check. The profit over the next few days would have been roughly 36%, which again, with leverage could have been 360%, let's just say. So that could probably just be a 4x or something along those lines of our entire capital. And that's a very, very interesting thing to realize here, almost a 5x. Here also, for example, let's say you bought right there below $2. In a few days, about a month or so, it went up 72%. With 10x leverage, that could be 720%, roughly an 8x. Or here, one time it wicked down like crazy. If, again, you didn't get stopped out because you also bought at $1.80, could have been a 60% gain over the next 11 days. Here it went to $2. Let's quickly see. 54% gain in 3 days. Here it went below $2 again to $1.90. Again, 36% gains or so in a few days. I seriously think that from a risk reward perspective, we've talked about this for a long time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times where 2 of those times it went significantly below of 10 cents or more. Here you can see about 10 cents below, which again, even if you're using 10x leverage, would not have wrecked you completely because it's not even 10% in that sense. This one could have been 10% if you bought exactly at $2 and not slightly below it. It could have been just on the edge, which is again why you have to be able to add more margin to basically ride the way down a little bit so you don't get wrecked on a small additional move like right here. We did buy that dip though. That was an interesting one. That's actually where we got a good chunk in. But remember guys, this position that you're seeing right here, the reason the average price is 263 is because we bought most of our coins at the $3.20 or so range. Why do we do that, you might ask? Well, because again, you never know when the crazy breakout is going to be. And we described it along the lines of, well, we just want to get as much XRP as possible. The price really doesn't matter as much. And we kind of stayed away from buying a little bit over the last month or so because Bitcoin was looking so weak. And the freaking president of the United States launched a meme coin that siphoned all the liquidity. But right now, because of this lawsuit fix, I am really seriously considering here that the moment it dips down, if it does, to just go really, really hard at it. And the only reason I'm saying if it dips is because, well, I already got a very sizable position in. As you can see here, I have my XRP, my normal coins. This is just over on Blowfin. We also have another $300,000 XRP position open. And I want to get this to a way higher number, all right? I'll be depositing a couple $100,000 more if we dive down a bit more. But as of this point, I think we could have gotten so many juicy, perfect entries at $2, so many beautiful ones. Maybe I should also wait before adding again to this position. Then again, even if I add right now at $2.45, I am lowering my average price still, so I could be doing that. Then again, because my average price is quite high, I think it will be more beneficial for me to wait. Then again, if I did not have any position open right now, I would probably still get into it, mostly from the, again, this is not finished advice, most from the perspective of a risk to reward ratio in the sense of, well, the risk here, Bitcoin slashing really, really hard. The reward here being, well, US based coin, positive climate, the SEC withdrew the lawsuit, most likely ETFs coming up, most likely Ripple will be launching a couple of nice missiles at the SEC because they still want to get their IPO done. And for that, it could be hurting if they get all these little stamps on their name, which is again why they're cross-appealing still in the case. But again, on the reward side, if Bitcoin goes on a run, most likely these other coins like ADA, Solana, XRP will really, really get another juicy, massive boost. But also resilience-wise, XRP has been one of the most resilient coins in the recent history here. There's a very good chance this will continue on. So even if Bitcoin does slash, there's not even a 100% chance that XRP will also have a massive one. Why? Well, because if we take a look at where a lot of coins were back when Trump pumped like crazy, right? When Trump came in and started doing some wild stuff, XRP right now is basically at similar prices to when Trump went on a crazy rally. Whereas many other altcoins like Solana, for example, went down from $290 to $130, XRP again is basically at the same price. When was Trump's official launch? The 19th or so of January? XRP then was $3.30, right now $2.50. So you can get how really this time around XRP has been one of the strongest coins out there. And funny enough, this has never happened in the history of XRP, that the price stayed at this level for so long, which is why I keep saying most likely this is still kind of like a pre-altcoin season level. We really haven't seen the craziest of levels just quite yet. Again, those are my thoughts though. If you also want to trade crypto, take a look at the link down below to Blowfin. You can use it from anywhere in the world. If it doesn't work, use a VPN because I'm using it right now. I don't even want to say. In a country where, all you got to do is use a VPN. Otherwise, WeX, link is down below as well. They might be a bit easier. What I could also do, maybe in the next video I'll do that. I'll also just open another XRP position, even at this price, just to show you that if you've got some patience, most of the time, in a bull market like we're seeing right now, you'll be able to flip it for a lot, because just take a look at the price action, right? If you lost money on XRP since, let's just say, the beginning of November up to now, that is quite difficult. Why? Well, because there have been some big slashes, sure. But as long as you averaged your way down, it should have been really, really easy to pick back up. And the main reason this is still at a loss right now, firstly, I want to say it's not realized. But second of all, it's because I am planning to either buy a significant amount more if it comes down lower, or again, if I really wanted to get into a plus right now, all I had to do, and this is still the case, is either buy in right now like crazy or wait for the dip and buy in like crazy, right? But that would limit my options in the sense of there would be a slight increase in risk if we do get another massive slash. And on the opposite side, it limits the upside potential. The only positive side being this number would be a bit green right now. But my strategy mostly is along the lines of, well, I already got a very sizable position in. This was at $40,000 worth of profit before, maybe even more. But it wasn't enough, though. I want to flip it for a very, very serious amount. And in order to do that, I got to play my game a bit more optimally by being at a negative for a little bit, but not accepting that. Again, I could have gotten this green pretty easily, but it'd be minus numbers, right? It'd be tiny. No. We're looking for the big bucks. So for that, I got to either wait for a pretty big dip or deposit such sizable chunks that I'd, basically overdo my positions for where I'd like it at, or I have to up the leverage. But again, we're not planning to do that. It's possible though, but right now you can see our liquidation is $1 minus per XRP. I don't think we'll ever go below $1 again though, so I think we're juicy with that. But again, that's just my opinion. Right now, everything's looking juicy. As of this point though, we're getting back to some resistance to some of the more interesting points. As you can see, about $2.55, 54 around that level is quite interesting to watch, which again, we had some trouble with earlier with regards to the lawsuit. But I think slowly but surely we're trickling our way back up. This was a pretty sizable dip we saw earlier in the month, below $2 again, mostly because of Bitcoin. I think from here though, slowly but surely we build unless Bitcoin goes for another slash. But realize that if Bitcoin does set this through, right? 87 right now and continuing on. If Bitcoin does set this through, oh, ladies and gentlemen, this could be extremely interesting for coins like XRP. So I would say keep an eye on it for right now. Right now I'm in Singapore at the Ritz-Carlton. We're enjoying life. That's why I got like the bathrobe, I'm feeling like that today. I feel like not even putting on a shirt, right? I did, take the courtesy to put on some pants for y'all, Not like you can see, but I just felt like doing that. But I'm feeling the power again of the markets. A couple of days have been quiet. No real news, nothing really crazy going on. But right now, it's looking as if things are about to shine. I'm ready for it. I'm ready. I hope you guys are too. Again, link is down below to blow if you're also looking to trade. And let me know what you guys are up to. Maybe in Discord, maybe on X. I also still have to do my $200 XRP giveaway. I said, a few hours. And I was like, I need to find out a good way to find some legitimate winners. 10 people, actually. $200. Take a look at X. I'll post the winners in maybe an hour or so. I'll take a look at how to get them now. So if you watch this video quick, you still have a chance. Yeah, just take a look at it.